So the question of the day is it possible to make a living from no code? Coming from Slater at Slater No Code. I think a lot of people are wondering this. I think there's a lot of different ways to like think about how to make money in with these tools. It's not obviously not a clear cut answer. I'm probably gonna lean more towards like the freelancing aspect of it, but I found some articles around like the different ways that people are charging for tools, and I imagine that gets into a little bit of like your business model and how you earn money on app stores and things like that. But I think it's a good question because it's only now becoming apparent, I think, that there are viable career paths for people who are using these tools, whether that's employment from a specific company that's looking for somebody with that skill set, whether that's as a freelancer on your own, like I'm doing, whether it is a viable option to actually generate money from a product that you're putting out there. All of those things are possible. And even now, even, it's still like becoming it's still questionable, right? It's like people are still questioning whether or not this is a viable like a path to go all in on, I guess. Now, I made that decision 3 years ago, so it feels old to me. Like the answer to that question feels like I've answered that for myself already, but I still understand the hesitation. And there's times even now where I kind of look back and go, like, what the hell did I do? I quit like a full time job that I was earning a good salary at to do something to build an app with no technical experience. Like it doesn't really make sense. Like, even when I look back at my own situation, I'm very much like, what did I do? Right. And I still kind of have these not dreams, but like times where I'm like, why did I go down this path? But it's still like there's really no way I can't picture myself doing anything else at this point. And I have um got myself to a point where I can live off of the income that I make with these tools, right? So now 100% of my income comes from Bubble or Bubble related projects, either through the direct freelance work that I do or through referral fees that I've kind of set up. Like I set up kind of a system for that. So I want to see first off some of the other responses to this question and see how they relate to the stuff that I've experienced. And also, like, if you're watching, throw something in the chat too. If you're making money on these tools, is it something that you could live on full time? So let's get into it. All right. So Tass, I know someone who can finance his house off of Bubble freelancing. Okay, so another freelancer. Geo, what's up? I know Geo's answer to this question. Let's see what else we've got here. 100% we run a six-figure profit agency building no-code apps. So making over 100K at least, right? Six figures at least it is 100K. Um, building no-code apps. Now here's the thing too. Here's what I think is so great about this is that you can really control the amount of money that you make. And this is part of the thing of working for yourself. Yes, that is true. But you can if you want to take on if you want to make the decision to take on more projects or charge a higher rate, you really have control over that faucet of like, this is what I want to earn this month. As and speaking specifically as a freelancer, right? So there are some times I made the decision a few months ago to kind of pivot and just focus on one high paying client. Before that, I had much more. I had about five clients that I was working with simultaneously. But and while that I was making more money when I was doing that, I think the most I ever made in one month was around 12K. But I was a little bit more stressed out and a little bit more fragmented, right? So, but I made the choice to say, okay, if I just focus on my energy on one client and engaging more with like doing stuff like this where I'm like talking more about the experiences, like what kind of lifestyle do I want? That was the question that I asked myself. It's like, is growing an agency really what I want to do? And I it really wasn't. I didn't really want to be the biggest no code agency. And I kind of made the decision to say, all right, I want to focus on one high paying client and just do the best that I can at that. With that, and that's kind of like the direction that I went in. But the point is, I was able to make that decision for myself. It wasn't like it wasn't somebody else that influenced that decision. It was really just like, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to focus on? And I think that's the best part of it. It's like um your ability to choose like how you're going to spend your days. Geo, how many clients do you take on at one time? I'm curious. Because I more than 3, and I'm like, I can't. It just seems like too many personalities to manage. I don't know how somebody takes on more than 3 projects at the same time as a single freelancer, right? Of course, if you're an agency, you're gonna have more than that, but like, what's your limit for the way that you work? Um, Minfam, yes, and it will give you less headaches than programming. I don't know. I don't think, especially if you're talking in the freelance context, I think it's just as many headaches as programming. It is programming. So Geo says multiple consulting clients 2 to 3 hours per week. Okay, so you're doing a little bit more consulting, right? And here's the great thing too is that everyone can do kind of what they're good at, right? There's so many components to app development that there really is no reason that you could just focus on design. You can have a consulting arrangement, or you can just do coaching as long as you're charging enough to sustain yourself. um then who's to say that that's not the right way thing to do? Like I say, it's kind of like about the lifestyle that you want. Two client, yeah, exactly. So same here. Worked on 2 clients simultaneously and kind of got burnt out. Yeah. Okay. So I guess you and I are kind of on the same wavelength here around taking on how many clients is too much. Three for me was ideal. More than 3, I had 5. I had 5 at the same time at one point, and it was just like it's so, like I say, it's so it's hard to manage that many personalities when the work that you're doing is so detailed and nuanced, and you have to ask yourself, like, do I like, why am I doing this in the first place? Like, do I did this to kind of be able to control the direction of my life? And if you're just kind of responding to clients all the time, and like, you feel like you're just putting out fires, what was the point? Like, I want I want to enjoy this to some extent, or at least feel like I have control over it. Yeah, very easy. Several people are doing it. If anyone needs more guidance, ping me and I'll guide you for free. We make a living building no code tools. Does it count? I think that's what the question was. Sure, you can make 100K in a year too if you get identified in the no code community and create content. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to make a little under 100K this year. I'm on target for that. I haven't broken 6 figures. I haven't broken 6 figures yet in a given year. Then depending on your background network, this is more or less difficult. No code. And I should say this too, kind of on Geo's point about lifestyle here. I have a pretty I don't have a very expensive lifestyle. I live in one of the most expensive areas probably in the world, in New York City. But I don't have a car. I don't have kids. Me and my girl, we split the rent, and it's, like, so while yes, you can live comfortably, there are like things that I've given up. I don't go out as much anymore since I started working for myself. Like, I have adjusted the way that and I'm more kind of cautious about how I spend money, because in the past it was just like, all right, paycheck showing up. When you have a job, the paycheck showing up, you don't have to ask any questions. You don't have to think about it. It just shows up in your bank account, and that's awesome. But once that goes away, you got to be a little more discerning about what you spend your money on. So I've definitely cut out a lot. Like, when I first started working for myself, I cut out all of the unnecessary expenses that I really had more out of convenience or laziness than I needed. So I think that's a thing too. It's like, what the lifestyle that you live, like, what is the you know I don't know if I had kids. Actually, no, it's not true. If I did have kids, I'd probably just take another client on. Um, and I think I'd be okay. I don't think it's a problem. But as it stands now, again, I like to put some energy into this, which is why, I mean, I could probably realistically handle two more clients um, that I have now, which would triple my income if I was charging the same thing. And I would be a lot more worked. I don't really want to work that hard right now, but it's possible, right? I have that choice. No code is a great tool to make a living, automate business life, and improve processes. Sure. Is it possible to make a living from solving problems? Yes. Solving high quality, high priority problems. This thread is so encouraging for beginners book market. Cool. I want to no code beginner. How long do you keep that handle for? When do you not become a beginner anymore? All right, John, let's see what John Tristan Alsup says. I think there's a different way of looking at this. Is it possible to build a product with no code and make a living? Yes. All right, so see, John is coming at this from a different angle. He's saying, like, is it possible to build, like, earn money off of a product? So what would appear to be a little bit more passive income. Is it possible to offer solutions and consulting with the power of that offer being no code? Yes, doing it currently, close six figures here. So it seems like a lot of people are closing six figures, which is awesome to see. I wonder how long these people have been doing it for, that they're able to close six figures. Because it's not just like the skill or the technical knowledge that you're going to acquire by learning these tools, but it's also like how to run a business, right? Like your accounting, how you charge for your time, what clients you take on, how many clients you take on, how, do you have people working for you? There's a lot of that too, and all of that will affect how much money you make in any given year. So there's more to it than just being like, oh, I'm a bubbler, I'm a bubble developer. It's also like thinking about how to run an efficient business, even if you're just one person. I believe it's like anything else. It comes down to how good you are. Sure. How would it not be possible? Full-time Webflow developer, Airtable expert, Zapier expert. Damn, it's tooting his own horn here a little bit. In some ways, it's more important. The more important thing is the question. More important thing is the question: is it to be better at an X who uses no code tools or make a living directly from no code? Okay, so kind of more on that same premise of like, is it the products that you're building that are earning money, or are you a professional in the space that is charging for your time? Absolutely easier in developing countries, as finding work for 100 plus an hour is not easy, but definitely doable. I want to understand that. Easier in developing countries as finding consistent work for 100 plus an hour is not easy, but definitely doable. Not sure what that means, but I want to know more about this. Yep, made my single digit dollar in August without technical knowledge, but with help of no code tools, working to achieve 5K till December 2022. Nice. So this dude, Kishore, is on his way to making his first 5K. I assume that's like a subscription based thing that he's doing. Well, oh, that's what he's saying. Consistent work. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that does make sense. That makes sense, Gio. Uh, this tweet here, it's easier in developing countries, I guess, because the cost of living is lower. Whereas for me, I have to charge a higher rate, and it's harder to find people that would be willing to pay that rate. I think that's yeah, that makes a lot of sense. $1 million companies built on low code platforms like Live Code. Check out our case studies. What is Live Code about? Alan Green took the opportunity by home provided by home working to restart his app development, having a breathing space to reevaluate work-life priorities allowed him to focus on creating this handy app for managing and scheduling jobs. Sole traders, filling a gap in the market. Sole traders. Taking input from actual operatives in these industries allowed him to design something that worked better from them than the current state offerings. Using live code provided a way of doing so quickly on mobile devices with iterative feedback from users. This is Gluggy. Yeah, 10K. Well, I mean, I think it depends how you live, right? My rent is 1,000 a month. Me and my girl split it, right? So I pay 1,000 a month. So I mean, I could live off of 10K unless I'm going out all the time. I can live off 10K for a while. Like I say, I don't have a car to pay off. If I did, that would go a lot quicker. But rent for me is about 2,000 a month overall, and you've got like utilities and stuff. But yeah, interesting live code. All right, so I think the overwhelming consensus here is that yes, it is certainly possible. How you approach it and how successful you are at building your business is, it's a lot of effort. I think that the big thing. Thanks, Gio. I'll catch you later, man. I think that the big thing here to think about is like, um, what approach do you want to take? Right? Like there's the way that I've done this is it doesn't feel very like passive. It seems like high effort for the most part. And it doesn't seem like there is I don't think I'm really building any streams of passive income at the moment, which I think I should be, uh through products. I just haven't had the not that I haven't had the time. It's weird. It's like I just haven't gotten the right idea yet where I could uh, potentially build a passive income. Consulting and freelancing seems to be what I gravitate towards. I don't know whether that's because it's easier for me to just think about that stuff, or it's just a clearer path to earning income in a more predictable way. I have to give that probably some thought, and like what kind of lifestyle uh, I want to live, because I don't know how bad we want to be freelancing forever. So Adalo put out in the spirit of kind of like other ways to approach this. Adalo has put out a an article here around making 7 ways to make money with no-code apps. Adalo is another no-code tool. I wouldn't call them a competitor of Bubble, but definitely similar. A lot of people who start with Adalo, they build something, and I think you can go pretty far with Adalo. But they what I've been told is that you hit a development wall in Adalo, and then it's worth it to move over to something a little bit more robust like Bubble. But Adalo is a much easier starting point, and there is a shorter learning curve than to working with something like Bubble. One of the most common questions we get asked as no code app development platform: how can I make more money by creating an app? While there are a few obvious answers, there are other more lucrative answers that are interesting to think about. Making an app can be expensive. Ensuring there's no way to make up for the expenditure is important. While not every app can be a gold mine, there are certainly app business models that can earn you a pretty penny. One of the more important things to think about when coming up with an app idea is what problem you're trying to solve and how big of a problem is it. This is important. The size of that problem and the number of people it affects can dramatically increase the amount you can earn. But let's get into a few different ways to make money. Cool. Pay to download. So the first option is pay to download. You go to the app store, you click on one of the apps, and you pay like $1. I've never seen an app cost more than like $2-3 to download. So you need such a huge volume of downloads in order to approach this, and that just is not easy to get in the beginning. So this seems to me like the more difficult way to earn income on any app idea. The app stores are called stores for a reason. You can buy, well, apps. While there are certain apps that are free, there are other apps that you can purchase for a small fee. Oftentimes, a user will pay once for lifetime access to the app. So no recurring revenue there. Prices can range from very cheap to very expensive, depending on what app you can do. Making money this way can be very lucrative because it's a simple business model to understand. One new customer translates into a certain amount of money. The downside, you're not capitalizing on how frequently somebody may be using your app. While 7 billion people exist on the planet, you can only rely on income from each user once. Yeah, okay, so same concept here. Or very similar to what I'm saying is that it's kind of a limit on how much you can make with purely on this method. Subscription apps. I think this is everyone's favorite. I think that's safe to say. Everyone wants a subscription app, whether that be an annual subscription or a monthly subscription. Making monthly recurring revenue is the easiest thing for builders to wrap their minds around. And it just seems like the ideal, kind of the ideal situation that everyone's striving for. Can I earn a monthly recurring revenue on this app that I'm building? Subscription fees for app access can be extremely lucrative. Finding a customer once and retaining them over a period of time is much cheaper than trying to find a bunch of new customers like the business model above. However, creating a subscription app boasts a whole new set of challenges. Yes, let's talk about that. First, the product offering has to be appropriate for a subscription model. Mainly, your user needs to continually get value from the use of your app. Let's look at an example. If my app was an ebook and the content was never updated, I'm not going to find any user that will pay me each month for access to a book. Okay, me and my dad. Most people would pay for it, read it, and then cancel the subscription. The best and most successful subscription apps continue to provide the same value over the lifetime of use. And once you figure out that value is cha-ching, baby. The two models for making money above are pretty obvious, but let's get into some of the not so obvious ways to make money when creating an app. All right, so now getting into the freelancing stuff. The app market is hot right now, and so is the no-code market. With the emergence of tools like Adalo, there's a whole new crop of people that didn't have the capability to create apps, and when you had to no code. Now, with the power to make apps with code, more people can use their skills to make apps for others. Plenty of individuals, agencies, and shops have created entire business models of creating websites for people. The same can absolutely be true for using no-code tools. In this model, you're not looking to monetize an app so much as monetizing your skills in an industry that's just heating up. There's an advantage to being the first mover in this space, and no-code is right for first movers. Have we mentioned that there's a whole bunch of freelancers that currently work as Adalo experts? Check them out. Ooh, there's a whole community of Adalo experts? That's interesting. No code monkey. So these are Adalo agencies. App design, UX, UI help. I'm really curious about. I would be curious to speak with somebody who knows Adalo very well, and just kind of take us through like how you work and how you work in Adalo. I'm really curious to see the how far you can go with it, because the last that I've heard with Adalo was probably about a year or so ago when somebody was coming through my bubble boot camp, and they said that they hit a development wall, but I imagine the platform has progressed quite a bit since then. And I'd be curious to see somebody who's actively like Adalo is their main tool that they use to build software. That'd be really cool to see. So if you do it or know anybody that does, let me know, because I wanna bring you on this stream. Creating a marketplace app. God, why? Why? I can't stand marketplaces. I can't stand building marketplaces, I should say. Creating a community where other people can sell their goods and services. Another way to make money from an app. How? Skimming a fee off the top of the transaction. Yes, that is probably the most passive way to make money off of a market using a marketplace. But marketplaces are extremely difficult to build. This is a well-known and highly popular practice with apps like Etsy and the App Store using this method of monetization. In fact, the Apple App Store takes a 30% cut from transactions that take place on your app. Jesus, that's a lot. Now, that's a pretty penny when you think about all the downloads and transactions that happen on a daily basis in their marketplace. A Dollar Stripes component allows the app creator to set up how much a transaction will cost the individuals that choose to utilize the marketplace to sell their goods or services. Business buying. Monetizing an app based on an audience that serves a business can be extremely lucrative. What do I mean? Let's say you build an app is a valuable resource and a business would like to use your app for its customers. This is an interesting path. This is one I think that we should leverage more. In a case like this, that business would pay a lump sum to recommend your app to its customers, while there are likely extra stipulations that go into this type of agreement. Branding and content, for example, depending on the app, multiple businesses may want to buy into your app. Another way a business can buy into your app is if your audience fits its purpose. For example, if you have an audience of women that like shopping in your app, clothing brands may want to contribute coupons or something similar to capture the attention of your audience. That's an interesting business buy-in. Or creating something maybe for businesses to be able to engage with their audiences or their customers a little bit easier and just pay you almost a licensing fee, not a subscription, but a licensing. That's another interesting path that I don't hear a lot about. Expanding your business. Perhaps you already have a business, adding an app that could bring an additional type of engagement that could have major implications from your bottom line. Improving the way you relate to your customers, offering things like loyalty programs to your app, or creating another touch point for your customers to have a great experience is a wonderful way to stay involved with customers and increase lifetime value. There's a reason all the restaurants nowadays want you to download their app and get a free chips and queso. Most of them looking to use because in this day and age, businesses are just trying to reach us where we're at, and that's on our phones. Yes. Offering deals, providing faster service, saving customer information for a more personalized experience. These are all great ways to keep people happy and coming back to you. All right, the last one here, ad network. How many of you have been in an app with ads? More telling question is probably how many apps have you been that don't serve ads? Yes, this is very common. I've never built an app with ads, nor have I or seen any developers or product owners that have monetized through ads in this space. I just don't see it that often. Maybe it's happening and I just don't know about it, but I don't see it very often. It's very common for app creators to allow ad networks to serve ads within their apps. While this is not the most lucrative way to make money, especially since the amount you make is directly correlated to the size of your audience, that's probably why. That's probably why it's not happening that often. This model becomes more advantageous if you have a large audience. The downside of using ads is that they can provide a not so great user experience and they might negatively impact your app's churn. Because of this, oftentimes you'll notice ads will be on the free versions of the app. If a user upgrades, they can enjoy an ad-free experience, which brings us to our next monetization option. That was the last one. Conclusion. There are many great ways to make money by creating an app beyond placing ads in your product. Thinking outside the box and using one of the less common methods to monetize can be very lucrative and open the door for many other opportunities. So those are mine and a couple of other people's thoughts, Adalo's thoughts on ways to earn money in this space. Freelancing is probably one of the bigger ones right now. I know there's apps that are generating a pretty, decent revenue that one could live off of as well. I guess my question in that would be like, when does this become passive income? Seems to be the gold standard for this space, right? Like if you just have an income that you're bringing in and you don't have to do much for it. And I don't know is it a myth? Like, does that actually happen? Because even if you have an application that's earning money on a monthly basis, it still needs to be maintained. It still needs to be, new features need to be built out. Is it ever really passive? I don't know. I'm wondering if that's just a myth. I don't know. I just haven't done it myself, so I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is there, but I don't know. If you do have a passive income in this space, again, I'd love to chat with you. I'm gonna jump off, but I will be back tomorrow with a new topic related to MVP development, no code, or just app development in general. All right, catch